the final race of the year, the fastest boats in the world. The title of national champion washed away for one final weekend of racing. We descend on Jupiter, Florida, and the Atlantic Ocean for the World Championships of Offshore Powerboat Racing. 2 days of racing, one champion crowned in each class, and it's coming up next. And finally, it has all come down to this, the grand finale of the AMSOIL Offshore Powerboat Series, the World Championships from Jupiter, Florida. And hi once again, everybody, alongside my broadcast partner, Mike Uwaski. I'm Rich Hollenberg, and Mike, we have gotten through the entire OPA Racing Series. We have finished with the National Championships in Solomon's Island, which brings us here to Jupiter, Florida, where the slate gets wiped clean for the World Championships.
0 points when you tow all the way down here to Jupiter, Florida. And what that means is it's an equal opportunity for every team to have a shot at the World Championships. There's no points lead, there's no padded, there's no cushions, there's no nothing here. You come out, you run as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and try and accumulate the most points over the 2 days.
Day one in the books, what are some predictions?
Cat Light is going to be very, very interesting to me. AMSOIL came away with the win on the first day of racing. Anthony and Ray had a big mechanical problem. They were actually losing a motor at anything over 5,000 RPMs, which was a big safety hazard, let alone not being able to catch Bob Teague. Remember, previous to this in the National Championships, Anthony had it for Bob Teague, and he proved that. He proved that in Solomon's. He proved that in Port Huron. He wasn't afraid to get in there and dice it up with the cagey veteran, as you like to say. But you've got to watch out for Anthony. Now he's fired up. He has spent all day on Saturday testing. He is ready to come out for the win. It's going to all come down to setup in Super Cat Light, and I think they're going to be side by side.
Just one of the great classes to keep an eye out for. We'll have in-depth interviews with all the national championship teams. But first, let's take a look at some racing highlights. Mike, will start off with Class 3. It's Bull on the Beach. As you see, they're the leaders into the first lap, followed by Zip Express, TKO, and Fluid Sealing. It's a 4-boat race in Class 3, 8 laps on this 6-mile course, and they have a bracketed speed of 95 miles an hour, and they are hitting near those top speeds. TKO has been around all season long, giving Bull on the Beach a run for their money, and speaking of a run for their money, that is exactly what we're seeing here. Deck-to-deck racing as we enter the midway point. Now, Zip Express gave Bull on the Beach all they can handle, but it was TKO ending up with the win.
Sutphin was awesome, man. Sutphin ran great, handled great, did a little rock and roll, got us to where we needed to be, and man, what a day. Love it.
So here's how the points lay out after the first race of 2 races on this World Championship weekend. TKO wins race 1. Second place goes to Zip Express. Bull on the Beach a surprising 3rd, and Fluid Sealing in 4th. Now we move on to Class 1 racing. These guys are going to be racing 9 laps. We have Broadco, Cleveland Construction, and Lightning Jacks. This has been one of the most entertaining classes to watch all season long. A lot of gremlins have haunted these boats throughout the season. Let's see how they do on the waters of the Atlantic Ocean in the World Championship. Broadco out in front to start this race. Lightning Jacks in second early on after Cleveland Construction got in a little bit of trouble. And there you see Cleveland Construction and Evil Ed Smith and his son Sean are out. So are Lightning Jacks. So it's going to be Broadco with the win, followed by Cleveland Construction and Lightning Jacks in race 1. Now we get into the Super V class. Unlimited speeds, 8 laps on the Atlantic. It's a 2-boat race between Strictly Business and the father-son combo in Was Up.
Anthony got all of his experience in that Was Up purple and yellow fountain racing against Strictly Business. They were a little bit behind the Strictly Business on this course, a 38 fountain versus a 35 fountain. But at Super V, you don't have a speed bracket, and you can go as fast as you need to go to win the race.
We were matched. I mean, the boats were dead even. You know, I don't know what it was, lap 4 or 5 maybe. We managed to get around them. And, the preferred line is the key to that. I think, we got away from them and put a little distance on them. But, Sunday you got to do it again. So we'll see. Got to keep the old Iron Horse together.
So here are your official results after round 1 here in Jupiter, Florida for Super V. Was up with an average speed of 91 miles an hour over Strictly Business. Coming up next, we're going to check out the Cat Light class as well as Cat Extremes. The World Championships from Jupiter, Florida on the OPA Tour continue after this. The 2012 AMSOIL Offshore Powerboat Series is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Jarvis Property Restoration, fire, water, repair. And by Peters & May, for professional management of your worldwide boat transport and logistics. Remember, Peters & May. And we welcome you back to the Atlantic Ocean in beautiful Jupiter, Florida for the World Championships. Well, if there's a name with this sport as close to legendary, it would be Bob Teague. It would be the 77 AMSOIL boat. But first, Bob, let's talk a little bit about the name AMSOIL, because the last couple of years, AMSOIL has really stepped up in a big way to help support OPA racing.
That's true. AMSOIL looked around at different organizations. Of course, I encouraged them to get involved in offshore racing in the first place. And then they wanted to step it up and get involved with the series, and they did their homework and decided to step up and sponsor OPA. This is their second year, so it is the AMSOIL Offshore Racing Series.
And certainly you're a great representative of the sport, and with that Silver 77 boat, it's had a tougher time this year than maybe in years past. Seems to me, though, from dealing with you, that it only makes you drive harder and test more than you ever have before.
Well, we're a professional team, and we've proven that you can't win them all. And we do win our share of races, of course. And any races that we haven't won, it hasn't been because of AMSOIL, that's for sure. Their products are great. They're a great sponsor, and we've done a lot of product development with our race boat that ends up in being products that people buy over the counter. And they're one heck of a company,
And finally, going into the final race of this 2012 season, I was talking to Anthony Smith and Ray as well, PhoenixParts.com, your main competition, obviously. Anthony said you showed him something on Friday that he has never seen in a setup on water like this. What do you have in store on Sunday now?
Well, the thing is, Sunday, first of all, there's always a little bit of luck involved in that. And, the more experience you have and the more you pay attention, maybe you can curb your luck a little bit. But Anthony and Ray have been doing a good job with that boat this year. We had an unfortunate accident right out of the box this year, and a couple missed setups or whatever. But, we are, Paul and I, Pacific Coast racers, and so we're definitely rough water guys. We cut our teeth in rough water. We're talking waves as big as houses and running outside the Golden Gate Bridge, and back in the days when we ran 250 miles in the open ocean to nowhere. And we like rough water. There's a talent to be able to set up for it. Now, Friday wasn't that rough, actually. Friday was fairly medium with a couple little holes. I thought it was fun water. It was decent, and we never had a boat that felt unsafe or upset in the way we had it set up. I believe tomorrow is going to be a different situation.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. If you know anything about this man and the way he races on water like this, you know something special is in store from Bob Teague and the AMSOIL boat. And I think it's safe to say from everybody here at OPA, including ourselves, we thank you and AMSOIL for your support, Bob. Great support for Bob Teague, and Bob Teague supports that AMSOIL boat as well as anybody on the racing tour. Spends a lot of time testing, and it pays off. But this season, more than any other season, he's been challenged, taken to the hilt by Phoenix Parts, and you see deck-to-deck racing between these two. It's been a two-boat race in this three-boat Cat Light class all season long. Right now, though, on the Atlantic Ocean, it looks like Bob's got it dialed in.
The reliability is unbelievable with AMSOIL and everything, and it's pretty hard to beat when you got really the best guy in the business on the steering on the right side. So when Paul and I are in the boat together, it's just like clockwork, and we just nailed it. We nailed the setup. That's really what it takes, and everybody was fast today, so we had to be just a little bit faster.
One race down, one more to go for the World Championship for Bob Teague and the AMSOIL boat. They win it, followed by Phoenix Parts, and in third, the Infinity number 8. And now it's time for the biggest, baddest boats on the OPA Tour, the Cat Extremes. It's going to be a 4-boat class, 10 laps on the Atlantic Ocean. Cintron, Aquamania, Miss Geico, and Cat Can Do in the unlimited Cat Extreme class. And there you see the Cintron boat out ahead in the early going. Average lap speed over 119 miles an hour. The Miss Geico boat has been a story all season long. Unfortunately, that story has been a sad story. And how about this? Cat Can Do, Jarvis Restoration, looks like they broke down. Aquamania also having trouble in that turbine-powered boat. No such trouble so far for the Miss Geico boat. But Cintron is the boat to take it in round one.
The boat's come a long way. The engines have come a long way. We have a setup now in a package where we think we can run it hard into the entire race. It holds together and it seems to run out front.
So here are your official round one results in the World Championships for the Cat Extremes. Cintron with the win, followed by Miss Geico, Aquamania in third, and Cat Can Do, Jarvis Restoration in fourth. Coming up next, we have round two racing, and we'll hear from more of your national champions on the AMSOIL Offshore Racing Series. Welcome back to the AMSOIL Offshore Powerboat Racing Series, the OPA World Championships in Jupiter.
Here with Bill Jarvis from Jarvis Restoration and the Cat Can Do boat, having an outstanding season here in the OPA circuit. And Bill, you're a relative newcomer to the sport, although you're not a newcomer to motorsports in general. Tell us how you got involved with the AMSOIL Offshore Racing Series.
I was involved in Detroit hydroplanes for about a dozen years now, sponsoring. When Chrysler unfortunately didn't make it and they bailed out, our company Jarvis became title sponsor of that race and saved it 1 year, a few years back. And then at that race, some other guys decided to, Eddie Smith from Cleveland Construction needed some support in St. Clair, Michigan race for a title sponsor for that year. With the economy was pretty tough in Michigan. So I came up and seen it 3 years or 4 years ago, I believe it was, and became a title sponsor of that race. After I seen it the first time, I just fell in love with it.
Every step along the way this season has been a first step for you, so to speak. So this is your first World Championships, and you come in as the national championship. So it must be a real great feeling for you to be here racing once again for the final weekend in Jupiter.
Oh, it's fantastic, yes. I actually got to race in Port Huron. I was the rookie in Port Huron race this year, August. We won that race, and I really getting hooked to it. Keith Holmes gave me an opportunity, owner of CK Motorsports and Cat Can Do boat, put me in the driver's seat with him, trusted himself with me, and it's been fantastic.
Well, you might not be in the cockpit, but something tells me you'll have the very next best seat in the house. Bill Jarvis, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And with round two about to start, let's check in with your lineups. Class 1, 3, Cat Light, and Cat Extreme.
Cat Extreme, Miss Geico, and Cat Can Do. Let's see how these piston power boats match up. Cat Light, Phoenix Parts and AMSOIL, and Class 1, the epic battle between Cleveland Construction, Lightning Jacks, and now Broadco Restoration.
And Mike, in Class 3, it's going to be TKO, Zip Express, Bull on the Beach, and Fluid Sealing. TKO winning round 1 in that Class 3 race. You're on board with the Pace Boat. There's John Hagen with his back to us. He is one of the legends in this sport, making a return. His home is not far from Jupiter, Florida. But important to note, it's a family affair here in OPA Racing, and his daughter is in the front right there, and she's the one who pulls the flag up. That's the green flag, and that means the throttles drop down. They have dropped the hammer. Deck-to-deck racing as we start off down this front stretch. On the outside, it's Cintron in first. Right next to that boat is the Miss Geico boat. You can't miss her. Next to them, we have Aquamania. We're on board with Aquamania. And on the inside, it's Jarvis Restoration, Cat Can Do. Aquamania is a turbine boat. It's powered by John Arruda. Now, he's the throttle man today, but he was also the throttle man on the Semper Fi boat that was racing in the national championships recently in Solomon's Island, Maryland. There's a good look at your Miss Geico boat as they come down, heading toward the first turn and some heavy traffic.
This is where experience can come into play with Scotty and Mark. They know how to turn a cat boat. That is still a rudder boat. They're still the same setup that they had before with the service drives compared to Cat Can Do Jarvis Restoration, a number 6 boat.
So the big boats make that first turn, and there we are on board again with Aquamania. And you can see Aquamania has Miss Geico in its sights. Look at the rooster tail that these unlimited cat extremes put up. The waters on the Atlantic, it should note, are much rougher than the calm waters that you see in most of the rest of this OPA season. Here's Citron in the lead. They won the first race earlier this weekend, so a good showing here would give them a world championship. We'll check back with Cat Extreme in a second. Now let's check in on Cat Light. It's Phoenix Parts in the lead with Infinity and Amsoil currently in third.
Maintain your lanes through corner number 1, but look at the acceleration of PhoenixParts.com as we look at Class 1. Lightning Jacks has checked out. Cleveland Construction, not afraid to push that boat. Remember, these boats, also bracketed by speed, cannot go over 115 miles an hour.
And truthfully, Mike, they're really not coming close to that. The waters on the Atlantic Ocean keeping these speeds down. Broadco is having a good run. Remember, they won round 1, so a good showing here gives them a world championship, just like the Silver Citron boat, who won round 1 in the Cat Extremes. Now we take a look at Class 3. TKO, Zip Express, Bull on the Beach, Fluid Sealing. TKO and Bull on the Beach have been the two to watch so far, with TKO getting the win in round 1. And there's TKO on the outside as they come down the stretch. And we'll let the Anselmo brothers take us to break. We're on board with Bull on the Beach, looking at a world championship to their national championship. We're back after this. Back again at the World Championships of OPA Racing. Rich Hollenberg, Mike Yawoski, beautiful conditions in Jupiter, Florida.
Big boats on the water behind us, and we get a chance to sit down with the Class 4 national champions, RNS Twin Screws, Val and Howard. Thanks for joining us, and take us back to the beginning of the season, because this wasn't necessarily all that you had planned it to be starting out, was it, Howard?
No, the beginning of the season, we were in Ocean City. We did a good job there. We finished first. I had Keith Herbot in the boat, throttling the boat with me. Unfortunately, he got hurt on work-related, and Val jumped in, and he's been with me ever since, doing an awesome job.
Val, you have a lot of experience in a lot of different boats. First off, racing with the Godfather. You've done some time in Twin Screw RNS. Don't remember who you've done time with, but you've been around the block, so to speak, with Offshore Powerboat Racing. First, tell us what it's like racing with Howard. Very laid-back guy, but he seems to be a little bit of a perfectionist.
That's exactly what Howard is. Howard is the perfectionist. His style in the boat is perfect. He has to drive that way. Throttle that way. He is on the tee with every number. He sets the boat. All I really do is I jump in the boat and I throttle the thing. He steers that thing right through the course without a problem. He is right on the numbers.
And finally, take us back to Solomon's Island not too long ago. You win the national championship. What must that have been like for you guys?
That was just awesome. We had a great battle with Jim Simmons and Kyle, and we fought right to the very end. They beat us by half a boat length. I would have liked to have won that race, but it gave us enough points to be the national champs. And man, after doing this for over 10 years, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, when I saw that at the end, that we actually lost the race by 1 second after 9 laps of racing, I was like, that's near impossible to do. But to get the national championship out of it was wonderful.
Thank you very much for joining us here in Jupiter.
Thanks, you.
Guys.
Take care.
Back to the action on the water. Round 2 racing in Cat Extreme. These are the biggest, fastest boats in the world, and Citron, who won in round 1, is now being chased down by the only turbine boat in the field. That's the Aquamania boat. Some local guys getting some good news here on the water. They finished in 3rd in round 1, but look at them chasing down Citron. The outside lane being very friendly to Aquamania as we were on board with them. But Citron is going to have to power up that piston boat. And Mike, what about Miss Geico?
Unfortunately, earlier in the season, their boat caught fire and burnt to the waterline, sunk, and completely totaled the boat. In order to fulfill their Geico obligation, they bought another boat. It's piston powered, and it does look like the future of Miss Geico leads to piston power.
And now we'll take a look in at the Cat Light class.
Look at the turn by Paul Whittier going into that corner. Paul Whittier and Bob Teague probably have the best relationship of any driver throttle man out there. If you ever get a chance, you should ask Bob about it. It's quite an interesting combination. This battle hasn't really changed the entire race. They've been about a rooster tail length to a rooster tail and a half length behind Amsoil, and it looks like Phoenix Parts has got all it's got out there on the course. But Bob Teague is not afraid to run that 36-foot skater. He's got it trimmed up, loose as a goose, trying to make up as much ground.
And yet Phoenix Parts, Mike, still trying to finish off a fairy tale season. And let's not forget about the Infinity boat.
these guys all the way from Norway. They do a lot of traveling to get here, and they don't have a lot of test time in the boat, so they'll tell you when they come to the race site, this is a learning experience for them. Boat number 77, Amsoil in the lead. PhoenixParts.com in second place. Rich, at this point, I begin to think that we may be in a St. Clair situation with Phoenix Parts. They thought they had the right setup, but possibly not.
Well, Mike, I'll hold you to that prediction. We'll check in later and see if that comes true. Bad weekend so far in the World Championships for Jarvis Restoration Cat Can Do in the Extreme Class. Second straight race. They are broken down. In Class 1, Lightning Jacks, Broadcoat, Cleveland Construction. Speaking of breaking down, some issues with Lightning Jacks. Man, listen to the sound of that engine. It is not a purr by any stretch of the imagination. Now we see Broadcoat. They won round 1, and they are in great shape so far in race 2 here in Jupiter, Florida. The salt water on the Atlantic Ocean treating them very kindly. They make their way down the front stretch. They're going to make that turn right by the pier where hundreds of people have crammed along the waters to cheer on these boats. There's a look at Cleveland Construction, who also broke down in the first race. They're your national champions coming into the World Championship. They're staying in that middle lane, trying to find the cleanest water they possibly can. Now we're on board with Ed and Sean Smith, another father-son team here on the OPA Tour. They had a great success in the Michigan races earlier this season, trying to parlay that here in the World Championships. And now we check in once again with Class 3, the Anselmo brothers from Maryland. They're on the outside, the national champions in the Bull on the Beach boat, but on the inside, it's Zip Express, surprisingly right now, in front of the Anselmos in this round 2 World Championship race. On board with Bob and Jim Anselmo, one of the great stories and family affairs. Now TKO, which won round 1, they're on the very inside track here on this 6-mile course, but they are in 3rd place right now. Bull on the Beach trying to win this round 2 and put themselves in great position to win a World Championship to add to that national championship. As we come to yet another turn, this is a test of endurance for these guys, and take a look at Zip Express making that pass, and in first place right now is Zip Express in Class 3. And there's TKO struggling a little bit in round 2 after winning round 1. That's the only V-bottom boat in this 3-boat class, so they can make these turns on the Atlantic a little bit easier. As we take one last quick look at the Cat Extreme class, it's Citron in first place, followed by Aquamania currently in 2nd place. And when we come back, we'll have the final laps of all the fastest boats in the world at the World Championships in Jupiter. Back again at the World Championships of OPA Racing. Rich Hollenberg, Mike Yawoski, beautiful conditions in Jupiter, Florida.
Another quick timeout from racing, but it's a well-deserved timeout. Smitty's here with us on our broadcast compound to not only talk about the season itself, but OPA Racing as a whole, because you wear more than one hat, as we all know here around OPA. First, talk about you as the Was Up boat, and another year, another national championship.
Yeah, it's been a great year. You know, I've been racing all these years with my older son in the boat, which I've been blessed, you know, to have that time to spend with my family and all.
Smitty, you say blessed to race with your older son, become one of my better friends around here, but you also got the opportunity to race with one of your best friends in the OPA Racing Series, Louis Gicantieri. They had to shoehorn the two of you into the Typhoon Super V light boat.
Yeah, that was pretty hysterical. That was like a bunch of clowns trying to pile into a Volkswagen, you know. Randy Schluss couldn't make it to run the Typhoon boat, who usually runs with Louis. So Louis asked me, and you know, I've been racing against Louis for the last 5-6 years. And to get in the boat and run with him was just absolutely hysterical. You know, I mean, we all know Louis. We've seen him. He's the guitar player. He's the singer. He's the boat racer. But little did I know that he was going to sing to me the whole time we were racing. I mean, he's just a comedian, you know. But it was great. It was great. Those little boats, I mean, you'll watch them on the show, the Super V Light class, hanging and banging. And when you watch them, you really have no concept as to what's actually going on in that boat. It's been a month and a half, and I think my range of motion's gotten to about this far. You know, it's crazy.
Well, last but not least, anybody who follows any racing series, let alone the Amsoil Offshore Powerboat series, knows that sponsors play such a big part in the success or failure of a racing series. This has succeeded this season in large part to the sponsors that jumped on board.
Oh yeah, I mean, this entire sport is sponsor driven. You know, there's no money coming from the inside out, it's coming from the outside in, you know. And over the years, we've been blessed. I mean, Geico is probably on its 7th year now with sponsoring our series. AMSOIL came on board last year in a big way. We use their corporate money to fund the TV program because in our business mind is we need to get out there, we need to get exposed. Let's use that money to try and grow and bring more sponsors on. And you've seen Bill Jarvis interview on some of the shows and some of the other guys that, you know, there's a guy in the business world, his wheels are turning. He's already looking to find ways to bring things in. And if we're going to grow and get anywhere, you know, that's how it has to happen. So.
Well, this is the crowning achievement, so to speak, here at the World Championships in Jupiter, Florida. Ed Smith, the patriarch of the first family of OPA Racing, the Smith family. Thanks for joining us here.
All right, thank you very much.
And remember, Anthony Smith in that Phoenix Park boat, this is one of 3 boats he's racing. Currently, it's all about the setup, isn't it?
Well, without a doubt, it's just like V-Light. These boats are all about setup. You have to be able to get these boats to run perfect. Remember, Anthony Smith has a lot of time setting up boats, just not a lot of time at PhoenixParts.com going up against, like what you said earlier, the best in the business.
Well, you won't get much argument from anybody here on the OPA Tour. Bob Teague, as good as it gets when it comes to getting boats ready to race in any conditions. Speaking of conditions, the conditions have been great for Citron there in first as we check in with the Turbine Extreme in Aquamania. The local boys trying to chase down that Citron boat after finishing behind them in round 1. But you see on board with Aquamania, they have their sights set squarely on that inside track, and that's where Citron is. And they have nothing but clean water ahead of them. It's an easy ride so far for the boys in Citron boat. On board again with Aquamania, and things are getting a little tighter now as that Turbine boat is really starting to spool up here as we get deep into the heart of this round 2 race. They would like nothing more than to chase down the Citron boat and have it come down to who gets the most points for the World Championship. And how about this? As we come into another one of the turns on the Atlantic, they go past the pier, and it looks like Aquamania has a chance to take over first place. More on that in a second. We check in with Class 3. And there's TKO in Class 3. Now, they were in first place after round 1 with the win. They are back in first place in round 2. So you know what's got to be going through their heads, Mike. They're thinking, keep this boat on course and just finish these 8 laps. There's Zip Express, a surprise good finish in round 1, and same thing here in round 2. They're in second place, getting a ride along with one of our helicopters. And remember, these boats, it's very important, especially when you're counting points. They do not want to break out of their specific bracketed top speeds. And Mike, somewhat surprisingly, there's the Anselmo brothers currently in 3rd place. They're coming off a national championship in Solomon's Island, but haven't had too great of a weekend here. They didn't win round 1, and now they're chasing the rest of this class down. We're on board with the Anselmo brothers trying to track down TKO and Zip Express. Let's turn our attention one more time to the Cat Extreme class. Miss Geico giving her all she's got, but currently in 3rd place, trailing Citron and Aquamania in the Cat Extreme round 2 race. Let's check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Amy Simon, who has a story of not the big Geico boat, but someone a little bit smaller than that. Amy?
Well, some of these boats cost millions of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars to race. If you don't have that kind of money, why don't you come check out one of these? These are absolutely fabulous, and I hear they go pretty fast.
Yeah, the stock Geico with 2 LiPos in it runs about 40 miles an hour.
How do you keep track of that thing?
Yeah, it goes pretty quick. We'll be running them on the lake here shortly. Maybe you can come run one. You can see how you get to.
I would love to do that.
They build a high quality fiberglass fuse instead of like injected plastic. They use high quality parts. It's all 2.4 gigahertz, so you don't have that old runaway problem with the FM radios.
The old runaway problem.
Yes. Get that boat and it's just gone. They're a very durable boat. I mean, you can't beat it for the money, and you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to have fun.
These are great. Yeah. I bet these are great Christmas gifts, right?
They work good for anybody.
Yeah.
Old, young, the whole 9 yards.
I love this. I can see how this could be hours of fun for the kids.
It is.
And the older boys.
Yep. That's our motto. We're the big boys buy their toys. So.
to go test one of these out later?
We sure do. I'll let you run one. We'll see how you do. We got some buoys set up at the lake.
Do you have any pink ones?
Well, if you look, it actually has them.
Oh, look at
pink
that.
mosquito on it. So you're good to go.
Little pink bikini.
Thanks, Amy. Something tells me that's one of the reasons that powerboat racing appeals to men and women. And when we come back, every fan in OPA Racing has been waiting for that checkered flag. We'll have it for you when we come back. Back on the AMSOIL Offshore Powerboat Racing Series, the best of the best in OPA Racing.
Back here at the racing compound, take a break from racing and talk to team number 555, the Class 5 national champs from Pushing Tin. It's been a great season for you guys almost from the get-go. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, a lot of it has just been consistency and finishing every race and showing up has been a big part of it. Right from the start, we knew we wanted to hit, a full race season, and in the end, I think that had a big part of winning the national championship.
You guys have had to learn a lot about a boat that's not built over here on the East Coast. We talk about it all season long, a West Coast built boat, Dave's custom boat. I've met Dave. He's a great guy. Tell us about that boat, though. You struggled in the beginning, and then Solomon's last year, you kind of woke up a little bit. You learned how to turn, you learned how to run the boat, and ever since then, it's been kind of downhill for you guys from there.
Yeah, we learned that the boat doesn't like the rough stuff. We added some longer tabs to help get through that. And pretty much once we learned that the boat would turn on a dime, things started going our ways. Pretty much not afraid to turn that boat at all.
I'll turn it.
Yeah, we've never put that boat in a spot where we were nervous. We have a lot of confidence in that boat.
Back to racing in the Cat Light class. Mike, you see AMSOIL way in the back. It looks like they're in third.
Rich, they have fallen way off the pace from PhoenixParts.com. Something must have happened on this race course that we cannot see from our vantage point. But I'm telling you, Phoenix Parts has got the setup going now. Maybe burned off a little fuel, maybe lightened up in weight, but the boat is very, very fast.
So, Mike, what are the differences between these two boats, other than the drivers?
Well, these boats side by side, they look exactly the same, except one's a 36 and one's a 38-foot boat. Tunnel width is the same, tunnel length is the same, horsepower is the same, so it does come down to driver skill.
And you can't doubt the skills of any of these drivers, let alone two of the fastest boats. And Infinity showing they're fast too. They're having a great race weekend. They are in second place with AMSOIL, shockingly in third. I was standing next to Bob Teague at one point during the first races of this weekend, and he was checking out the conditions, thinking that it was going to change a lot. Maybe that came back to haunt him just a little bit. Now we're back to Class 1. There's Broadco, who won round 1, but Lightning Jacks still not sounding great, but they're staying in this race. They know this is the last race of the year. They make that turn. They're on the outside lane, going to have to pick up some speeds. And there's Cleveland Construction, Ed and Sean Smith, who were such a great story in St. Clair and in Port Huron, struggling a bit here in the salt waters of the Atlantic Ocean as they make the turn by the pier. There's Broadco out in front and looking to extend their lead. They were round 1 winners. If they win here, they are your world champions in Class 1.
Phoenix Parts goes into the corner. You can see that boat float, just walking around a little bit, but it does look good. Ray Contreras doing a great job with Anthony Smith inside that boat, getting it figured out, getting it to work for them, finding out where they want to be. There goes AMSOIL again. Appears to be way, way off the pace. Number 388. What a great job they have done today. They've been fast, they've been consistent, and it would appear that they were in just the right place and just the right time to get that big of a lead over AMSOIL.
And speaking of AMSOIL, who better to answer questions from all of us weekend warriors than Bob Teague, the throttle man of the AMSOIL 77 boat. Here he is with Teague on tech.
One of the questions I get a lot, especially from boaters that boat here in Florida where the weather's hot, humidity's high, and other places in Arizona, or anytime there's hot temperatures, is regarding vapor lock. And this is a condition where basically the heat in the engine compartment gets high, and or the ambient temperatures are high, and the engines are shut off, and what happens is the fuel really boils in the fuel lines. A lot of people have gone to returning fuel to the fuel tanks. It's especially easy on a single engine boat that has one tank, or a twin engine boat that has two tanks. But the main thing is that you have to have a good supply under pressure. No air leaks in the system. Anytime you have an air leak in the inlet side of the system up to the filter head or to the supply pump, that's going to draw air into the system, which creates aerated fuel and also causes vapor lock to happen more readily. So make sure all your fittings are tight, everything's good. You need a lot of ventilation in your engine compartment because that'll keep everything cool. Most boats don't have enough ventilation in the engine compartment, and if that doesn't solve the problem, modify it and return fuel to the fuel tank.
All right, Bob Teague, thanks for the knowledge. When we come back, we'll see if Bob can make up some ground on PhoenixParts.com in the Cat Light class. And we still have the Cat Extreme yet to be decided. The only turbine boat in this field is Aquamania. Can they make it a win in round two? There they are. They're looking like they're running smooth with those turbines spooling. And we come back, we'll have the final laps of the fastest boats in the world as we are on board with the Cat Extreme Aquamania. Alongside Mike Jaworski, I'm Rich Hollenberg. We are in Jupiter, Florida at the 2012 OPA Offshore Racing World Championships. And right now in the Cat Extreme class, the fastest boats out here, it is the turbine boat, the only turbine boat in the Extreme class. Aquamania leading the way. You're on board with them. They have nobody out in front of them. They are in first. But Citron, who won the round one race, currently in second place, still looking to accumulate enough points to win that world championship. No such luck for the Miss Geico boat. It's been a frustrating season. They probably can't wait to get back to the shop in Florida and get that turbine boat back on the water. Now we check in with the Cat Light class. PhoenixParts.com, it's been a storybook season for them. They're in first in round two. Infinity, surprisingly in second, and that means one thing for this class. That means Amsoil is in third. How about in class one? Broadco, they won round one. They are still in first place in round two. They're followed closely behind by Ed and Sean Smith in the Cleveland Construction boat out of Michigan. TKO, they won round one. They're looking to win round two and make it a clean sweep in class 300. They're in front of Zip Express, who had a surprisingly good finish. The one surprise out of everything in class 3 has been the Anselmo brothers boat. They have been dominant all season long, but right now they struggled in round one, and they're doing the same in round two. The Anselmos and Bull on the Beach currently in third place in class 3. And now the checkered flag will fall for the Cat Extreme class, and it is going to be the turbine boat beating out the piston boats. First win of the day for Aquamania. In second place, it's going to be Citron, but with a first and a second this weekend, that gives the Citron boat the World Championship. So a couple of winners to congratulate in the Cat Extreme class. Talk about a season to remember for Anthony Smith and Ray Contreras. This has been a season to remember, and they will be partying in the Was Up camp because PhoenixParts.com wins the Cat Light. Broadco is going to pull out and get the checkered flag for their class. Broadco wins again. They complete the sweep in class 1. And there's Infinity finishing in second place in the Cat Light class, with Amsoil finishing in third. Now we check in with TKO. They won round one earlier, and it looks like they're going to do the same, duplicating the effort in round two. Class 300 world champions will be TKO. What an exciting racing weekend we've had here. Hundreds, if not thousands of people showing up all weekend long. Remember, this is the only racing weekend where they have double the amount of races, and that meant double the amount of excitement on the waters of the Atlantic Ocean here on the shores of Jupiter, Florida. When we return, we'll hear from all the world champions. Stay with us. The 2012 Amsoil Offshore Powerboat Series is brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Jarvis Property Restoration, fire, water, repair. And by Peters & May, for professional management of your worldwide boat transport and logistics. Remember, Peters & May. And we welcome you back to the Atlantic Ocean in beautiful Jupiter, Florida for the World Championships. Mike, let's recap things for all the racing fans. First, in Class 3, your World Championship goes to TKO, clean sweep on the weekend. Second place, Zip Express. And third place, Bull on the Beach. You went wicked fast out there.
Yeah, we parked the car in the Harvard yard, and then we go wicked fast. But no, it ran great. The boat was flawless. There was no problems at all. Like Charlie said, the corners got a little bit snotty, a little bit rough. We come out of those no problem. And we had some good competition chasing us down, but fortunately we hit them at bay, and we ended up taking the World Championships.
Something tells me they're having a celebratory beer out in Boston with that win. In Class 1, first place goes to Broadco with a clean sweep. Cleveland Construction in second, Lightning Jacks in third.
We had such a great time down here. It's a great spot for a race, and the water conditions were great. It was a little calmer Friday, and then rough water today. It was the best time we've had all year.
And in the Cat Light class, PhoenixParts.com completes the Cinderella story. Now, Anthony Smith has been a veteran, even though he's one of the younger racers here on the OPA Tour, but this is his first season in this boat and in this class, and getting out of that truck and getting a hug from Mom, that's just the beginning of the celebration for that team. PhoenixParts.com wins the World Championship to add to their national championship. Amsoil in second and Infinity in third. Here's Mike with the champs.
PhoenixParts.com, world champions, Jupiter, Florida. Ray, there has to be no better feeling than what you guys accomplished today.
It hasn't set in yet. I don't know what to say. I really don't. We overcame so much today. A boat that was literally falling apart. I didn't think it was going to finish the race, and he keeps telling me, go straight, and the boat keeps turning and shutting off. Everything's going wrong. Lights are going on. Morton's right behind us. Keep it straight. I'm surprised it finished the race. I really am.
Anthony, you fought gremlins all weekend long. You had your setup Friday, but that electrical issue, obviously you got it figured out, and you walked away with it.
We actually didn't get it figured out. We had the same problem we had Friday. We had today.
Feels good. We couldn't throw him off the dock, so.
Feels good.
And now we check in with the baddest of the best, the Cat Extreme class, and Citron ends up winning your World Championship with a first and second place finish. Aquamania in second, and Miss Geico rounds out the Cat Extremes. And one more class to mention, the Super V class. You saw Smitty hosing down his son. Well, he deserves to get hosed down too. He's the world champ in the Super V class.
We were going for the trifecta. Boomer had a little malfunction in the bilge. I think there's a few parts that went out the bilge pump hole. But we'll take 2 out of 3. I think that was a good day. Congratulations.
You're getting to be old hat at this, young man.
It doesn't get old. This can never get old if you enjoy what you do. You know, there's nothing like winning with my old man, Ray. You know, poor Boomer got the bad end of the stick this weekend, but we'll come back for next year and get him one, you know.
How special was this one? Any reason why? Well, now I think I know your answer.
I didn't move, did I?
A fitting way to end an exciting, thrilling OPA Racing series, to say the least. It's been a marathon, not a sprint, this entire season. It started in Ocean City, Maryland. It ends with the World Championships in Jupiter, Florida. Congratulations to all the national champs as well as the world champs. And thanks to you for tuning in to the Amsoil Offshore Powerboat Racing Series here on Fox Sports Net. For my broadcast partner, Mike Uwaski, this is Rich Hollenberg saying so long, and we'll see you next season.